On December 7, 2025, ahead of the 77th International Human Rights Day, the Dam Square in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, became the site of a special rally. More than 170 participants, including Christians from the house churches such as the Church of Almighty God and Zion Church, as well as democracy activists and human rights defenders, gathered in front of the National Monument. Under the theme, Stop Religious Persecution, Respect Freedom of Religion, Defend Human Rights, they spoke out for the persecuted in China through prayer, choral singing, and personal testimonies. At the rally site, a 6-meter-long bilingual timeline poster in Chinese and English drew particular attention. Beginning with the founding of the CCP in 1921, the poster highlights the calamities inflicted on the Chinese people after the CCP came to power in 1949 through a series of political campaigns marked by purges, famine, revolution, and repression. Many passers-by and tourists stopped to view the display, taking photos and videos and reading the informational leaflets on site. On December 7th at 1 p.m. local time, the rally officially opened with the proceedings led by Liu Feilong, a volunteer organizer of the International Human Rights Day rally. Participants then observed a 1-minute silence in memory of those who lost their lives in the recent fire at Wang Fu Court in Hong Kong's Tai Po district. This moment of silence also drew attention to broader issues of life and human rights. On December 10, 1948, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which clearly affirms in Article 18 that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. Yet 77 years later, in mainland China, Christians continue to face systematic persecution and are still denied this most fundamental human right. In her opening remarks, the host Erin reflected on the core principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and drew attention to the grave reality of human rights abuses in China today. She noted that churches such as Beijing Zion Church and Chengdu Early Rain Covenant Church have long faced sustained crackdowns, with multiple pastors and believers arrested, some receiving harsh prison sentences. The situation faced by the Church of Almighty God has become increasingly dire. In just 7 months of 2025, nearly 100 elderly CAG Christians aged over 70 were arrested in Zhejiang province alone, the oldest being 93. They were sent to transformation centers for forced indoctrination, where some were subjected to torture and other forms of abuse. Following the host's opening remarks, Christians from the Church of Almighty God sang a powerful and stirring hymn titled The Kingdom. Their voices cut through the cold wind and echoed across Dam Square in Amsterdam. Soon afterward, the crowd chanted slogans in unison, and the atmosphere at the rally gradually steadily built. The rally drew the attention of many passers-by, some of whom stopped to observe. One onlooker shared her feelings, saying she had never imagined that, even in Europe far from China, she would hear first-hand accounts of Chinese Christians living without any freedom of belief. During the rally, Christian representatives and human rights advocates took turns addressing the crowd, recounting their experiences of surveillance, arrest, and persecution in China. Christian Shi Junxia recounted what she went through in mainland China. On February 13, 2024 alone, At least 40 brothers and sisters from her church were arrested. To evade further pursuit, she was forced to move 7 times within just 1 month.
中共为了抓捕基督徒，在大街小巷布满了高清摄像头。生病时，我不敢去医院，因着中共的迫害，我们甚至连走出家门、呼吸一口新鲜空气的自由都没有。
Christian Zhu Juan recalled that in June 2012, she was arrested by CCP police for her faith. During her detention, she was subjected to beatings and humiliation, including being slapped across the face and kicked hard in the abdomen. She also recalled that another church sister detained with her was denied permission to use the bathroom and was subsequently humiliated. Zhu Juan was in her early 20s at the time. The experience left her with deep fear and lasting psychological trauma. Zhu Juan also spoke about a church sister close to her, who was dismissed from her public sector position and fined more than 100,000 RMB, about $15,000 USD, simply for her faith. Her husband was arrested after returning to China from overseas, and his whereabouts remain unknown. Christian Liu Haixia also shared her experiences. During the time she was persecuted in China, more than 20 Christians around her were arrested within just 2 months. To evade pursuit, she was forced to move constantly, living in hiding and at times sheltering in duck sheds and mountain caves. The prolonged life on the run placed immense physical and psychological strain on her. Night after night, she jolted awake from nightmares, with fear, loneliness, and helplessness refusing to fade. The father of Christian Wang Yi was arrested by police 3 times for his faith, and whether he is still alive remains unknown.
They said my father had a role in a gospel movie of the Church of Almighty God, and they said they charged him as organizing a cult, even though he was very ill at that time. They just put the handcuff and the leg shackles on him, and they forced him to sit on the tiger bench, and they kept demanding him to know about the other church members in the film, and also asked my mom and my location. And they even forced him to pretend he's dying to trick us back to China.
Wang Yi's father refused to cooperate with the police or betray other believers. He was soon arrested again. Since then, whether he is still alive remains unknown, and no further information has been received. Wang Yi said that the root cause of the persecution of Christians in China stems from the CCP's nature as an atheist party seeking to maintain its one-party dominance rule. Drawing on their own experiences, the Christians exposed the reality of religious freedom in China. While these accounts represent only the tip of the iceberg, they are more than enough to make one thing clear. Year after year, as Human Rights Day comes and goes, the human rights situation in China has not improved. It has continued to deteriorate. Amid economic downturn, rising unemployment, and growing social instability, many ordinary people struggle to make ends meet, with increasing numbers left displaced. Across mainland China, society has been deeply destabilized, and the space for ordinary people to live with dignity has continued to narrow. However, the CCP continues to impose high-pressure campaigns targeting religious belief, including zero-tolerance crackdowns and forced indoctrination. Many Christians have been arrested, interrogated, forcibly brainwashed, and even tortured. Dissidents and rights defenders face similar fates, including detention, harsh prison sentences, and house arrest. The repression and arrests of Christians, dissidents, and human rights advocates have not ceased, and show no sign of abating. In the latter half of the rally, multiple dissidents and human rights defenders from China took the stage, broadening the focus from religious persecution to the wider landscape of human rights abuses. as speaker after speaker recounted their personal experiences of repression, one reality became increasingly clear. Under the CCP system, freedom is not merely taken away, it has never been permitted to exist. This gathering thus stood as a public exposure and strong condemnation of the CCP's violations of freedom of belief and fundamental human rights. Several human rights advocates and Christians from China were interviewed at the rally, sharing their reflections about participating in the event.
今天我来参加这个活动，是为了揭露中共迫害信仰的恶行。
我深切感受到了人权与自由的一个珍贵。
我最大的感受就是民主自由国家对人权的尊重和重视。
为受迫害的基督徒发声，我感到这很有意义。
Jiang Peikun, a dissident and human rights advocate, pointed out that the CCP, as a one-party authoritarian system, has long engaged in systematic human rights violations and the suppression of religious freedom and freedom of thought. From the mass detentions in the Uyghur region to the high-pressure governance imposed on Tibet and Hong Kong, he noted these realities are objective and well-documented. He emphasized that the CCP does not represent the Chinese people, but instead serves to preserve its one-party rule, maintaining control through fear and propaganda. He called on the international community to clearly distinguish between China as a nation and the CCP regime when discussing issues related to China. As dissident Jiang Peikun put it, the CCP is not China. Loving China does not mean loving the CCP. China and the CCP regime are two different concepts. A country without freedom cannot truly prosper, and a regime that oppresses its people will not endure. This understanding is increasingly shared by more and more Chinese today. The experience of many countries around the world over the past decades has demonstrated a clear truth. Lasting and stable power is never built on repression, but on respect, not on fear, but on freedom. As the rally drew to a close, dark clouds hung low, and cold rain swept across the square on a biting wind. The rain grew heavier, yet not a single participant left. Some held umbrellas, others stood quietly in the rain. Then they sang Amazing Grace together in the rain. The hymn's long, resonant melody carried through the rain and echoed across the square, as if answering the shared call for freedom, faith, and human rights voiced by everyone present.